Hello, everybody. E here. Welcome back to another book review. Kinda, sorta. Alright, this is part two, and yes, it's the same day for me, not the same day for you. This is part two of William Faulkner's collected stories, or the collected stories of William Faulkner. However you want to look it up, yeah, whatever. This thing is 900 pages long with 42 stories in 6 different parts, so I'm splitting up this review into 6 different parts. I am currently at part 3, which is entitled Wilderness. This is part 2 of this video series, and it is about the part called The Village. We're going to be talking about the short stories that are in there. Once again, spoilers for all of William Faulkner's stuff. Hopefully I remembered to put that at the beginning of the last video. If not, I apologize, but these books are nearly 100 years old. At least. Some of them are, some of them aren't. But yeah, so right off the rip in The Village, which is the name of the part, not the story A Rose for Emily, which completely came out of nowhere for me. I had no idea that William Faulkner wrote anything that could ever even be confused with horror, but this is a horror story. It very much gave the same kind of tonal quality as Chad Lutzke's Stirring the Sheets. And I don't know, Chad, if you're watching this, man, if you got that idea or you were inspired by this story, I'd love to ask you. I could probably just text you. But anyways, yeah, it's got the same vibe to it. It's about a woman that is a recluse, and she has a slave, and that man goes to the store for her, does everything for her, and eventually things kind of I really don't want to talk about the end of this one because I would love for you guys to go look this one up. It is somewhere everywhere. It's public domain. You can read it for free online. This is so far is my favorite story from William Faulkner because it's got the literary merit. It's got some horror stuff in it. It was really good. Also, it was kind of emotional because it also showed that you don't really know your neighbors. You don't know the people that you associate with. Even after they're dead and gone and you find out all their secrets, you still don't know who they were, any of that stuff. I find that concept fascinating, and I think that's one of the draws to becoming an author, at least for me, is you can get to know these people. Yeah, it's all made up in your head, but you can get to know these people and you can give reasoning to some of their quirks or their problems or whatever, what have you, you know? Now, the way I'm doing these reviews is I tell you up front what I remember about the story. I like this one so much, I remember every note of it. But then I also have a reading journal over here that I read to you what I wrote. And what I wrote here is Faulkner wrote a horror story, like 9 question marks. I literally drew 9 question marks. Lutzke Stirring the Sheets, exclamation point, seems inspired by this tale of... I don't want to say that because that's a spoiler, but that's all I wrote. It's only missing 3 words. Alright, so the next one is Hair. I remember this story. The story is entitled Hair, what I don't have much of. It's entitled Hair because it's about a barber. It's about a barber who was once married to a woman who passed away. He moves into town and he starts cutting this little girl's hair. He starts doing it for free. It's going to places I didn't feel comfortable reading about. It's going into Lolita territory. And the whole nymph kind of not nymph, what is it called, nymphomaniac, not a nymphomaniac, but the nymph, like the sexualized little girl, you know, kind of, anyways, ew, disgusting. But yeah, I learned a new word reading this, and this is nympholepsy. And what nympholepsy is, unfortunately, is when you have had you've been married to a woman, she then dies, so then you groom a young girl, supposedly this happens a lot, groom a young girl into being like your dead wife. I didn't want to know that. I didn't want to tell you guys that. But if I had to learn it, so do you. Anyway, so that's what Hair is about. What does it say? I had no idea what nympholepsy was until I read the story and looked up the meaning. Disturbing. Not sure if it inspired Lolita or the other way around. I don't know. I stopped looking things up after that because I'd already stumbled on the term nympholepsy because it's not used in the story. I looked it up. I looked up what the story was about, and there were 3 different articles that said nympholepsy William Faulkner's hair. Anyways, so yeah, that's what hair is about. Next up is Centaur in Brass. What I remember about this story is not what this story is about. Let me explain. I thought, because the story starts off talking about a memorial or a statue, what I thought was happening was someone was stealing brass to then make a statue for that person by the end. That's not what happened at all. This story is about Snopes, an individual that pops up quite a bit in William Faulkner's stories. There's also the fictional county that I cannot. He's like Yapatapa Fia, whatever the heck it's called. I don't know. It's some weird the name of the county that he writes a lot about. But yeah, so this is about Snopes, and it's about like the difference between myth and reality, like legend and the real thing, like how everybody has built up this character to be like this wonderful businessman, but he's not that at all. He just kind of gets lucky, kind of thing. Anyways, that's what I remember about it. I remember thinking the entire time that, okay, Centaur and Brass, there's going to be... not even the Centaur part was what I thought it was, but the Centaur part was really, really funny. There's a cuckold storyline, subplot to it that I thought was absolutely hilarious, and the Centaur part comes into play there. But so Centaur in Brass, what I wrote was about the gap between myth and reality. Everyone thought Snopes was a great businessman, but he really just got lucky. So that's pretty much what I just told you is exactly what I wrote down. Next up, we have one of the most tense scenarios, sequence of events that I've ever read, ever, period. I was on the edge of my seat while I was reading this, and it happened in dry September. It is a story, it's vaguely reminiscent of Emmett Till. This white woman claims that a black man molested her, and they go to lynch the black man. There's a part where they're in the car together, and there's only one person on this dude's side, only one person. And he does end up escaping. Like I said, there's going to be spoilers. He literally, like, I think the good white guy kicks him out the car, so that he can escape. And he does escape, so it ends up good. But I was like, because it's William Faulkner, and of the time frame, lynching was like a good thing. They would get around and party and whatnot while this happened. And I was like, I do not want to finish reading this story. If it gets to a point where they are actually starting to do it, I am not going to read any further. Sorry. Farther denotes distance. I will not speak on this any further. Sorry, that's something that's been banged into my head over. Anyways, has nothing to do with this story. So it didn't. Luckily, he escapes. And I really enjoyed it. For that, I love extremely tense situations that turn out okay, and I love watching the author figure it out for himself, how to get them out of the situations. I always like that. It's not really a subgenre or anything like that, but I do like that trope, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, what did I write about Dry September? A near lynching of a man accused of molesting a white woman. Tense and alarming, written quick, fast, and dirty, with a dark message, but at least the mob wasn't successful. I don't remember what the message was. Don't remember that at all. As Faulkner would have said, at all. Smooth. Okay, next one. We have Death Drag. This story was so much fun. In fact, in this section of stories, in this part, the village, every single story was actually fun to read. I hear people all the time, and this is why I haven't read much Faulkner. In fact, my buddy Rudy almost nearly talked me out of reading any more Faulkner whatsoever, and that's funny because he's a huge fan of Faulkner. Because there was a lot of stuff that Faulkner did that wasn't understood back then and still isn't understood to this day. There was a certain book, and sorry Rudy, Rich, whatever your name is. Sorry, my buddy Rudy has multiple names, or at least I know multiple names. I don't know which one is his real one, but I'm gonna go with Rudy. So he told me that in the book he's talking about, Faulkner wanted each section it's like it's not split up, but Faulkner wanted it in different colors, like the ink in different colors so that it could be understood, but that didn't happen. There's only like one version like that. And how his stuff is just completely like unreadable and hard to interpret because of that. You know, he was a very experimental author, so on and so forth. So yeah, Rudy, you chased me off. After I read As I Lay Dying, I was like, yeah, I don't want to read any more of this. It's going to be this difficult. But nowadays I'm here for the difficult. Anyways, so with Death Drag, sorry, I just had to remind myself where I was at the moment. With Death Drag, there's a couple guys that come into town, and they are daredevils, like Evel Knievel type shit. And they fly, and the guy either like jumps off the plane or jumps onto the plane using a ladder, I think. But it all ends up being a scam. Like they're scam artists, they're confidence men, con men. For those of you who don't know, that's where con man comes from. It's confidence man, because they build up your confidence and then they rip you off. So yeah, that's what that one was about. It's just a fun story. I don't know if there's any deeper meaning or anything, but it's just a really fun story. Really, a fun story about daredevils with a flying gag. Con men worried about getting conned themselves. I remember that. That was pretty funny. No honor among thieves. Hilarious ending. Finding out they didn't even pay for the rental car, but here they were worried about getting paid. Yeah, they're trying to rip somebody off, but at the same time, people are ripping them off. So I thought that was very, very good. Ellie. Ellie is another one that made me uncomfortable. Ellie seems to be the story leading up to Dry September. I don't know if that's true or not, but I remember the good white dude saying, hey, she's got issues. And in this one, in Ellie, it seemed like this lady had issues. But then I don't think it is, because I think Ellie survives at the end. What happens is her mother finds out that she is dating a black man, but the black man's actually mixed. And he's passing at this point, but the grandmother figures it out rather easily and is like, I'm going to tell everybody and their mama that you're with a black man. Of course, she doesn't say black man. This is William Faulkner. It's all nothing but N-words, right? And so the girl schemes a way to get them on a certain road so that she can grab the steering wheel and kill them all, like her grandmother and her boyfriend at the time, but she only ends up successfully killing the boyfriend and her grandmother. But she's down at the bottom of this ravine and people are driving by up top and they can't see her, so she's like, someone's got to stop, right? Like right at the end, that's pretty much how it ends, is her going, someone will stop eventually. But I don't think so. I don't think anybody stops. But this happened so much back then. White women would just, and that's why people laugh at white women crying nowadays, because of this. It's like they weaponize their tears. They weaponize, and to some extent, this is also why people don't believe it when a woman says that she has been, the word. And it's unfortunate. It really is that so many women lied about this happening, because they were with black men and then they got caught. They were consensually with black men and then they would get caught and go, oh, he molested me, so on and so forth. The last time I said the R word, the entire video got demonetized, and it also got not suspended, what's it called, suppressed, and I only got like 30 views on it, so I try not to use that word. Anyway, grape is what they say now, but I'm not too keen on nonsensical stuff like that. Anyways, that's what I remember about Ellie. A young woman obviously mentally ill. No, a young obviously mentally ill woman attempts to blackmail. I literally wrote it M-A-L-E and M-A-I-L. Attempts to blackmail/mail a man into marrying her. Her grandmother refuses to let Ellie marry a black man, so Ellie causes an accident, killing everyone but herself and leaving her stranded out of sight. So yeah, pretty much what I told you. The next one is Uncle Willie. Uncle Willie is kind of like me, in that the story is about a kid who puts a lot of faith into a man that is a crook, that is a criminal. When I was younger, I idolized a guy named Eddie. Eddie was my sister's first husband. He was also a crackhead. But he was a musician. He could play Johnny B. Good, and back then, I'm talking, I was like 6, 7 years old. My favorite movie in the world was La Bamba, what is it? Back to the Future. So anything he could play La Bamba, he could play Donna, he could play Johnny B. Good. Of course, that how I knew it back then was from Back to the Future and not the Chuck Berry song. Anyways, so yeah, I idolize this dude, and that's kind of what this is. And Eddie would use me to help to do crime, to talk people into things and whatnot. So that's pretty much that's what this story is about. And yeah, so I mean, I think that's all I need to remember. And then at the end, Uncle Willie ends up getting shot because he sends the boy to go tell a woman, like, hey, Uncle Willie said this. And then when he gets there, some man is holding the woman hostage, and he's like, yeah, tell him that she said come on. So when he gets there, the man shoots him, but Faulkner doesn't spell anything out. So, sorry, my nose is itching. It's all that crack cocaine. No. So when he gets there, the ending is they're carrying out something that's wrapped in like a rug or something, and it's of course Uncle Willie. But the kid doesn't realize that. And the kid is his nephew, I believe. Next one is Mule in the Yard. This has one of the most striking images I have seen yet from an author. It's a mule running through the fog in a barn, and on like a farm kind of thing. And I thought it was exceptionally visual. And that's what I remember the most for it. I also remember that once again, there's some double dealing at the end of the story that I found funny. I don't really remember what it was though. Mule in the Yard. But let's go back to Uncle Willie. I said an unnamed teenage narrator speaks of Uncle Willie, a morphine dope. That's not the right story. That's not the right story. The story I was remembering. See, this is why I'm doing this. These stories are starting to blend together. What I just talked about was That Will Be Fine. Yeah. So that story, That Will Be Fine. I thought for sure the little kid narrator would turn Uncle Rodney, that's why I got him confused, that he would turn him in, but the ending was much darker, and all the better for it. All that for $2.50, $5, and then finally $7.50. You got to read the story to find out what that means. But yeah, Uncle Willie. So I don't remember anything about Uncle Willie. Is a morphine dope? No, it's the dope head that owned the pharmacy. Uncle Willie seemed to be the only one who enjoyed life. Not sure of the message here. I don't even remember. I do remember one part. So he ends up like marrying a hooker or something, and she runs around the town going, haha, I got all of his money now, it's gonna be willed to me, and so on and so forth. It is so hot out here. I'm pouring sweat. There's heat dome BS today. So yeah, it's like 102 outside, and it feels like 110. Next one, Mule in the Yard. I told you what I remember about that one. Very striking image of a mule running through the fog. And then the ending, there's some double dealing with the lady buys the mule and then takes it out somewhere, and the guy accidentally burns down her barn or something. He says he's not going to pay for it, so she gives him $10 for the mule that actually is worth 60, but he says it's worth 150, and it's back and forth. That's kind of what I remember. Anyways, the mule at night in the fog is a haunting image. The rest of the story, however, is hilarious. I thought it was funny. That's good. Now I haven't written down. This is the last story I read. The Evening Sun. I don't remember anything about this. I don't. There's some kids. Oh yeah. Okay. So what happens in this one is there's I'm gonna say housekeeper. It's a slave, working for this family. Her name's Nancy, and there's literally a cocaine addict, black man that is like hunting her down, and the family won't let her hide in their house because she's black. They just said no N-words, you're gonna sleep in my house kind of thing. So she takes the children that she normally watches over. I think she's a nanny too, but you know what she actually is. She's a slave. And she takes the kids, and then the father shows up and is like, "Hey, come on, let's go." I think it's alluded to that the guy actually kills Nancy at the end. I can't remember. I really don't remember if that's what happens or not, and that's the most recent story I finished reading. But I haven't been feeling well lately, so yeah. This is also the last video of the day, and I'm exhausted. So, anyways, have you guys? That's it. That's that part. The next one, if I get to it, will be The Wilderness, and that only has 4 stories. So yeah, that'll be coming hopefully relatively soon in the next month or so. But yeah, have you read any of these stories? Did I not get to your favorite story yet? Do you enjoy Faulkner? Do you understand Faulkner? Let me know all that stuff down there in the doobly-doo. But until next time, I've been E, you've been you. This has been another book review, kinda, sorta. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye!